Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and to a video which is a little bit different. In my last video, which was the assumptions video, someone made the assumption that I went to a really nice school, and I started getting into how that wasn't true. And then when I was halfway through my answer, I realized that this may be a whole video idea. So I asked if you guys were interested, and you generally were in the comments. So that is what this video is all about, my experience going to an all-girls grammar school. So if you're not from the UK or you don't know, a grammar school is a school that you have to sit an exam to get into when you're 11. So you do like English, maths, verbal reasoning. It's like an academic test, and then once you're there, it's free education. And then obviously the all-girls part, girls. Before I get into it, this is my experience. If you go to an all-girls grammar school, or you went to one, you might have had a completely different experience, although I did put something on Instagram a few days ago asking people to share their experiences, and a lot of them were very similar. And then if you went to my school in particular, I'm not going to say which one because privacy, I don't know, don't want to get sued. You might have had a different experience as well. I'm going to start with kind of like the general vibe of the school, then go into the things that were bad and then good as well, because they were good. It was like a balance. And then after that, I'll follow up with some Q&A questions which I got from Instagram to try and target like specific things that you wanted to know about. But yeah, let's get into the overall vibe of the school. I was so pumped to go to this school when I was 11, because always like drilled into me from when I was like maybe 9 that this was the goal. I was going to go to this school. It was the best girls school in my county. It was like ranked really high nationally, and at my primary school I was like one of the smartest kids. I was very academic, and it was like a natural thing that I would go there. So I sat the exam when I was 10, and then a few months later you get your results, and I was in school and everyone was like, oh my god, Emily got into school, and it was like really exciting, and there was no question of whether I was going to go there or not. My path was set. So I got into that school. I was so pumped to go. Quickly the issues began. So like many people who went to my school, and probably grammar schools in general, I went from being the top of the class at my primary school to like there. In the first week or so, everyone was like asking what place you came, because when you got your acceptance it was like how you ranked. There was 120 places, but then some people who came higher had put a different school down, so maybe you were 160th and you still got in because someone chose to go somewhere else. So I was 91st, and I can still remember it. And everyone knew who came first, who came second. Like, it was a competitive vibe. So I went from being, you know, number 1, number 2, number 3 to 90, or at least like around thereabouts, in the bottom half basically. But it really meant nothing. Like, one of my friends I know, she came like 160th, like she didn't get in the first time, and then another friend came 20th, and they both ended up going to the same uni. Really, it shouldn't have meant anything, but it did. Month after month and school year on school year, my self-esteem just kind of went. But over the first 2 years I was really trying, and it got to year 9 and my attitude kind of changed. I talked a lot more in class, I wasn't as keen, wasn't doing my homework as well, because in my mind I wasn't smart, so what was the point? Like, I was never going to be told well done, good job, so why put in the effort? The competitive side was so intense. Like, I had one friend who would persistently ask what grade you got and what mark you got in tests, if we were in like different, it wasn't set, it was done by like your surname, and then you were in random groups. Say you did a test at different weeks, she would ask like every time I went to that lesson, like, what mark did you get in this test? There was even things like every September you would come back from summer holidays, and in the UK you have 2 big assessment periods, which are the GCSEs when you are 16 and the A-levels when you're 18, and they would put up the marks that year had got and a percentage increase or decrease in the amount of top grades versus the previous year. So it wasn't just with your friends or people in your year group, you were compared against the previous year group and like how you sat. Like, I get that it's an academic school and the goal was produce results, but it really just degrades you down to purely a number. Like, there were instances I know in like GCSEs and A-levels where they would not let people sit the exam because they knew that their grade would bring down the average. Something else related to like the general exam culture, I know when I was 16 I got my GCSEs and I did do pretty well, but I will never accept that because of the way I was treated on results day. I went in to go get my results and I picked them up, and not one teacher said a word to me. No one. And one of my friends was like next to me, and a teacher came up and congratulated her and was like, oh, well done, because she got the threshold which was acceptable to be congratulated. So the teacher had a list and they had ticked everyone who got 9 A stars or above. We did 11 or 12 subjects I think, and A star is the top grade, and they had ticked who was worthy of a good job. On another results day as well, we only sat I think like 4 exams a bit early, like ahead of other schools, because a lot of grammar schools do that. You kind of sit exams early. I don't know whether it's like prove a point, but anyway, my friend got 3 A stars and 1 A, and the head teacher looked over her sheet and was like, oh, well done, but what happened with the A? What happened with the A? That's still a great grade, and this was in a subject that my friend struggled with and she got an A in it. So that's incredible. That was another thing as well, actually. So many things are coming back to me. One of my friends was predicted all like A's and B's, and then in the end she ended up getting like 3 A stars or something, and the rest were A's and some B's, and no one said well done to her. And then another friend that we had was predicted 12 A stars, ended up getting 10, but she was told well done, but she underperformed. Like, make it make sense. This then carried over into the GCSE prize giving and A-level prize giving, where they sat everyone together and you go up to get your certificates for your grades, and they had the normal people, or like underachievers, in alphabetical order, and then it would start with the people who got 9 A stars or more in alphabetical order, and then 11 A stars or more in alphabetical order. I had a friend at another school who got 3 A stars, and she was best in the whole year. She was in the newspaper. I think I got 8 A stars. So it was like just one below being congratulated, but I felt like I did horrendously. My other one, I missed out by 4 marks on one of my exams and 2 on the other of getting an A star. So like a few marks difference may have changed a lot of stuff that went on down the line. Just gonna say, mental health. Which is where we get into the real sucky parts of my high school experience, which was year 13, the final year, where it all went wrong. The year of the meltdowns, the breakdowns, the mental health issues. I don't know like extent of like everyone in the year, but in my friendship group, more people than not had a genuine mental health issue, like serious issue. Every mental health issue is serious, obviously, but you get what I mean. So almost every day, pretty much every day, someone was crying at break time, lunchtime, in a free period over school and pressure and everything else that's going on. I regularly used to walk out of school because I was just so stressed and everything was going on and I need to get away from it. Like, I literally had to walk away. Teachers on occasion would come into our room where we were studying, someone was crying, and they would just leave. I know one friend even went to confide in a teacher, and the teacher basically said, there's nothing I can do, so there's no point you telling me this information. Another friend wanted to sign up for counselling, got told there was a 3-month wait list. Anyway, that was like outside of the classroom. Inside of the classroom, okay, let's go through my subject. First subject, which was this teacher was one of the greats. Basically, in the UK at the time that I was studying, it was divided up into an AS year and an A2 year. So you sit exams after each year and then it's worth half and half. So after the AS year, a bunch of people did not meet expectations. He decided to really clamp down because there was no way that we were going to do the same again. And I get it, like as a teacher you want your students to perform, but you're just a bad teacher. And we did all do so much better in the second year, but only because we found an online website from another school which was giving all the resources that we needed to pass the exam. So everyone ended up doing so much better, but not because of his teaching, because of this other school. But anyway, I keep saying but anyway because I could talk about these one instances for like so long. But anyway, he stood up in front of the class and said a few things that have stuck in our minds forever. Number 1, this class is making torturously slow progress. Really sorry about that. Number 2, if your work isn't causing you pain, you're not trying hard enough. How is that acceptable? How is that okay? But then we come to another subject which would underscore us on purpose to make us work harder. So they would pretend that the grade boundaries were higher than they were to make you feel like you hadn't done as well. So say in a practice paper someone got 70. In the exam that might have been the equivalent of an A, but they would pretend that it was the equivalent of like a C because that's motivational to make people feel like they're not very good. Also in final year is when you're applying for university, and in the UK obviously the 2 big universities are Cambridge and Oxford. They have earlier deadlines for applications, and anyone who was applying to Oxbridge got like a one-on-one, they got additional help, their application was done way in advance. If you weren't applying, no one-on-one support, submit it whenever you want, didn't really care. And I know that's like a measure of success, how many students your school gets accepted to Oxbridge, but how is it going to make people feel that you've spent the last 6 years telling these people that they're not good enough to apply for Oxbridge anyway, and then when they don't apply for it because they don't feel like they're worthy, you then make them feel even worse? There's a few other random things I wrote down, like when I was 14 I think, I was in class and I was talking to my friend and the teacher comes over and goes, if you keep talking you're gonna end up getting a B in your GCSE. A B. This is the way it worked. A star, amazing. A, average. B, bad. Which is not true. B is not bad, like don't think I'm saying that, but that was kind of what was drilled into us. That's all the general points I have now, but basically it's an extremely high pressure environment, no pastoral care. That was the other thing, we had nothing, no pastoral care, no nurse, no consideration for underperformance or why you underperformed. Oh my god, yeah, one of my friends, she was in an exam that we had in school, like a mock exam, and she passed out in the middle of the exam, so she only did half of it. Ended up getting a C anyway. Kind of boss move, to be honest. Don't even do half the paper and you still get a pass grade. And she got assigned a mentor because of this one grade that she got, and she kept going to the meetings and she was like, I passed out in the exam, and they didn't care because there was that red mark on her overall assessment sheet that said C. So yeah, that was funny. But that's my general overview. Now we come to the good points. I had to like write a list because I needed to make sure this was balanced, you know? So that's all the bad stuff. Good points. Okay, so I've written down, you end up with very intense friendships because you have to be there for each other because nobody else will. I was so close with my friends in the last 2 years especially. We literally were supporting each other through like having panic attacks, taking walks around the school to calm down, staying up late to help each other with work, or just not having breakdowns all the time. So we got so close, but like not necessarily in a healthy way. We were literally being each other's like therapists because no one else cared. A lot of people did ask me actually if there was a lot of bitchiness, and no, surprisingly there wasn't. In terms of cliques as well, because a lot of people asked about that too. It wasn't so much cliques as like everyone had their friends. So for the first few years I had like a pretty core group of 6, but we did like talk to other people, but we kind of like sat as a 6 and then we merged together with other people in the final 2 years of school. So it was like cliques, but it wasn't like the maths clique, like the sports clique or the pretty clique or the popular, like it was more just these people are friends, so they're together. And I generally would say there wasn't really any issues with bullying, so that was a plus. We were more just bullying ourselves in our minds, to be honest. A big thing, obviously, this is like aside from the grammar school thing, because I think I've mainly talked about grammar schools, it's obviously all girls, there was no boys. I do think there's a lot of positives to that, in that no one feels the need to like play dumb to like impress the boy, because I think a lot of girls do that. They pretend not to be interested in intellectual stuff, but that obviously wasn't an issue. You didn't feel the need to like put loads of makeup on. It was more just like what made you feel comfortable, not trying to impress someone. Yes, people still roll their skirts and like some people kind of push the boundaries, but it wasn't like you were doing it to impress a guy, although when there was like a hot male teacher, everyone would like swoon over it. That is like a really accurate stereotype, that like 25-year-old teacher fresh out of teaching school, like yes. But I do think that was a positive. Yes, it probably did impact some of us socially. I personally went to a dance school that was separate from my school, so I was around boys a lot at that, so that kind of probably helped. And then also our school was like kind of unofficially partnered with the boys school that was 5 minutes down the road, so we did like partner discos with them. Discos. A lot of girls got buses home or trains home with the guys from the other school, so it wasn't like we were in like a convent. We still interacted with guys, but it wasn't like all the time. So I do think it genuinely did help in the sense of the boys not being there as like a distraction, so you could like achieve your best. But then putting all girls together who are really competitive and naturally like perfectionists and smart is actually pretty toxic in a lot of ways, because you want to be the best and you're going against other people who want to be the best, and like that can foster really good results, but it can also just make you have a complete mental breakdown. I think the big issue here is just the lack of pastoral care. Like if there was people there who cared more about you and helping you and making sure that you were okay mentally, not just on your grade sheet, then it probably would be a healthier space. But because there was just nothing to help you as a person to flourish and grow, wasn't good. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Q&A part. Someone has asked to talk about my best and worst experience with a teacher. It actually comes with the same teacher, which is funny, but when I was in year 10 and 11, I got kind of like taken under the wing of the English teacher. So typical, like I think I give off the vibe of the sort of person that would be friends with the English teacher, because I loved creative writing and I would like show her my stories that I wrote outside of school, and I was really keen and really into the classes. So me and the teacher were like tight. I got elected to be like English prefect. On my leavers shirt she wrote, "Emily, you're a star." Like, you know, it was a real great experience. Really helped me and made me feel like I was enough, and it was like one of the few subjects where I actually felt good about myself. But then we come to year 13, and the whole of that year I was really struggling in a lot of ways, and this teacher didn't really know how to handle it, because I wasn't this like shiny keen student that I'd been in year 10 and 11. I suddenly was like barely talking in class and just kind of staring at my paper, not really participating so much because I was thinking about so many other things that were going on, or just like kind of asleep while awake, which if anyone has struggled with mental health, they will know what I'm talking about. But she never really confronted me about the fact that I had changed so much until it came to parents' evening, and then she sat down and was talking through my essays, and because I was still like doing fairly well, and then just goes, "Emily's not the same person she was in year 11, and I find it very concerning." with my parents right there. Like, she never felt the need to talk to me about this beforehand. Like, we were 2 months into the school year and just now she was airing her concerns. So that was like a complete betrayal of trust, and I never really had the same relationship with that teacher ever again, to be honest, because yeah. Someone asked how many GCSEs and A-levels you did. So like I said, I think it was 12 GCSEs and you did 4 A-levels in the first year, and then you could continue with 4 afterwards, or you could drop 1, but they very strongly advise you to keep 4 on, even though you only need 3 for university. I started with 4 and then I dropped one of them after like 2 weeks because I realised that wasn't going to happen, hun. Someone asked if everyone was very well behaved. I would say people still mucked around, but it was more like in a malicious way. I can't remember it exactly, but there was definitely still a lot of misbehaving. We still kind of tested the boundaries, I guess you could say, in like a smart way. Someone just asked, did you have mental health issues? Yes, ding ding ding. I'm not gonna like go too into it because it's a whole other video that I don't know if I feel comfortable talking about. But yeah, the school had no part in helping me to overcome them. I would say though, I feel like I probably would have struggled anyway, even if I hadn't gone to that school, because of the type of person that I am. Like, I am a perfectionist and I'm always going to probably deal with stress in not very healthy ways. I'm kind of getting better at it now, but I think the school kind of exacerbated what was already inevitable. I'm not like going to blame the school, but my self-esteem definitely was crushed by going to that school. Thankfully though, my uni experience really turned that around. I had amazing lecturers and personal tutor and people who made me feel like I had worth in the world, which was really redeeming. Someone said, did it help your university goals? I actually think, in a weird way, if I hadn't gone to that school, I probably would have applied to Cambridge or Oxford, because my grades after AS were like definitely good enough for either of those universities. Like, they were above what you needed to get in, but I was made to feel like I wasn't very good, so why would I apply to like the best universities in the country? Someone else actually did ask, do you wish that you'd not gone there? And someone else also asked if my sister went there as well. Alice, my sister, went to a private school instead and she completely thrived, and I do kind of wish that I'd gone there instead. I had a 50% scholarship for that, but like, it wasn't even in the question. I feel like if I had gone to that school, I probably would have applied for Oxbridge. Who knows if I would have got in. And obviously I have no regrets because I loved my university experience, but I feel like I probably would have shot higher if I'd gone somewhere else and made to feel like I was better. And then also someone else has asked if I would send my child to a grammar school. Absolutely not. Unless I felt like they were the most headstrong, confident, secure person, I wouldn't. And I know most of my friends wouldn't either who went to the grammar school. Actually no, I take it back. If I knew that the grammar school had a secure, positive pastoral care department and had measures in place to help people who were struggling, then yes, I would consider it, but not if it was the same way that it was when I was there, because it's just not right. I do want to stress before I go into the experiences of other people at their school that there were a lot of fun things as well. Like, we had some really fun traditions. Like, we had house decorated classroom where we, as a form group, decorated the whole classroom around Christmas to a certain theme. We did like a place, we did Narnia, I think we did The Lion King, we did Les Mis at one point, and that was like a whole day dedicated to just that. We had like house karaoke where we all kind of learned a dance and a song and performed it as a form group. We had house pancake day. Like, there were a lot of fun things to do with the house event, but they were kind of like related to alleviating the stress, and it's like kind of like putting a blue paper towel on a cut. It can only do so much, and yeah, there was a lot more that was needed than just flipping some pancakes and being like, yeah, everything's fine, work hard, play hard. I just want to quickly read out some of the experiences that other people have had who went to the same kind of schools, just because that way it's not as biased. Someone said it was very strict, but the education was very good. Surrounded by constant stress and bitching always. It's always a competition. Someone else actually said A star amazing, A average, B bad. Wow, it really does cross over. The most supportive environment, slightly competitive in a good way. So obviously it's not everyone. Like, I went to an all-girls grammar school, I achieved good grades, made amazing friends, but struggled and knew so many other people who struggle with their mental health because of the pressure. There are so many people who say the same thing about mental health. First 2 years were incredible, but then the bitchiness and mental health in third year made things... She's got like a little like colon slant face. Focusing purely on the academics. Competitive and you felt worthless if you weren't in the top 5% academically. Very bitchy when we were younger, but the older we got, it got much better. Anytime a male teacher came to school, everyone fell in love. As a massive perfectionist, that was one of the things that led to me developing depression and an eating disorder, because I constantly believed I wasn't good enough. Completely toxic environment. If you got less than an A grade, you were made to feel like a failure. Only focused on academics, no care for mental well-being. It makes me really sad reading all you guys' stories, because I hate that you had those experiences, but it does kind of line up with mine. A lot of people have actually said they made really amazing friends, and I think for a lot of people that's the saving grace of a grammar school, or an all-girls school at least, in that you end up being a lot closer to the people who you spend your days with because they're the only thing that makes it bearable. It was definitely a lot freer around talking about things like periods because there's only girls around. But yeah, it just seemed like the general consensus is that the pressure was intense and it exacerbated a lot of issues. So this video is probably already way too long, but if you enjoyed this little insight, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Ask any more questions I didn't answer down below and I will try to get back to you. Why am I doing so many things with my hands? Comment down below if this experience lines up with yours and if you think that grammar school should be a thing. I know a lot of people have opinions about this, if it's like classist or whatever. I personally think it's a good thing in letting people from lower income backgrounds have access to a better education than they would otherwise, but the mental health needs to seriously be improved and looked at to make it a healthy place to be and a nurturing place to be. It's not just about grades, it's about who comes out alive, literally alive. Please subscribe for more videos. I tell a lot of stories about my life and give a lot of opinions on things that are affecting me and other people. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me rambling, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!